Welcome to Framer Dive. In this video, we are gonna try and build this amazing website or the page, and I will call it a magic calendar. And it looks pretty interesting to me, and it has this amazing look about it. So watch, if I start to scroll, we have a singular static background, and then only these calendars are the ones which are scrolling. So this is me scrolling, and yeah, and then when I come to my calendar and I want to see what is inside, I can just, when I come and hover here on this red button, you can see I can click it, and we have this amazing look to it, and this new card comes up, and then I can also scroll down in it and navigate anywhere, and also like click this button and get taken to more information. So I can also play along with other cards and other calendar. For example, I want to see walk here, I can see this amazing car, and then I can also scroll. So you can see we are playing with different colors to create a different theme to what we want to see, and it looks very much interesting and pretty cool. So this is what I want to show you guys how to do in Framer. I want to show you how to build this thing exactly as it is, and we're gonna do it in a step-by-step process so that we can easily get it correct. So if you wanna follow along, I have the remix in the description. It's free, you can check it out, you can click it, and you can mess around with this and make it your own, or just practice your skills. So this is Framer Dive. Thank you for being here, and let's get this started. So once you log in into Framer or sign up, if you're new to Framer, you're gonna see this blank canvas, which is a white canvas. So let me just show you what I have here. So with me here, I have my desktop, which runs from this part to this part. And inside the desktop, I have a navigation bar. That is the only element inside my desktop. So, and then next to my desktop, I have a few text and stacks that are gonna just help me create what we want to create, this magic calendar. So the first step we're gonna do is we're gonna start by creating the background. The background is the one that you see here. It's the one that is here, the one that you see. This is the one, the blue background. So that is what we want to build now. So I'm gonna hold F on my keyboard, and I'm gonna just draw a frame inside my desktop. Then I'm gonna make sure the width is set to fill so that it fills all this space. And then we want the width, the height of this frame to be viewport, meaning it takes the whole height of our viewport. And then we want our desktop to be a little bit bigger, so we can use a longer height like 1900, so that we know this is the area that we're gonna be scrolling. But remember, we have the frame here, which is, we're gonna call this our background. This is the frame, and perhaps I can just give it a color for now so you can see what we're doing. So this is my frame, and as you can see, it's here. We want it to be on top and still at viewport. So I'm gonna go to my desktop, and I'm gonna make sure that it's arranged from the start like that. So I want it to be distributed at the start. Now I can create this desktop, so I can come here and play with the colors. So I'm gonna use this color called this conic gradient, and sorry, so I'm changing the desktop. I'm supposed to be changing this background color. I'm gonna come here and click this conic, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna come here and drag this at the center of this. I'm just gonna drag it to this corner here, and then now I can add some other colors around here. And so this color, I want this color to be my blue, I want this color to be my light blue, and I want this other color to be my royal blue, so that we have something like, you know, like a rainbow. Okay, so I think this looks cool. So then we can also see that this we have a navigation bar here. Make sure we have it pinned to both sides, on the left and the right side, by toggling this right and left. So now we have this background where we're gonna put in our calendars or our cards. So I'm gonna make sure this is set to sticky, and then once you set anything to sticky, especially this, you can see the height minimizes. This is because it's just a small problem, but we just need to go back and change it to 100 VH so that we can restore our initial height. Then, so what we want now, we want it to be sticky so that it remains sticky on our screens, and we also want to make sure that the parent, which is this desktop, is set to overflow to visible, which is okay. If I come and view my website, as you can see, as I scroll, we still see the background in effect, so this is pretty good. So then the next step, we're going to now create our scroll section. So come here to desktop, and I want you to hold F on your keyboard. I want you to draw a frame anywhere, and then we're gonna call this our scroll section. And then I'm gonna make sure that the scroll section positioning is set to absolute, and I want it to be pinned to the top like that. And then I also want the I'm gonna change this scroll section into a layout, and then I want because I want it to be pinned to the right side, and I want it to be pinned to the left side like that. Then I'm gonna get rid of the fill color. So now we have a scroll section here, which is kind of on top of the background, and so this is where we're gonna put in the calendars. So now we're gonna just go next to here, and we're gonna try and see if we can build that calendar. So I'm just gonna hold F on my keyboard, and I'm gonna try and draw like a square. I'm going to put a width of 360, and then I'm gonna put a height of 270. I think 270 is okay. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the radius. I'm gonna put a radius of like 24, and then I'm gonna change the color here to like a dark color, and then I'm gonna add a layout to it because I want to put content inside it. So I'm gonna click this plus icon, and then what I can do now is I'm going to, gonna hold F on my keyboard, and I'm gonna draw a frame inside it like that. And then now this is where we're gonna put in our dates. Now this is now where we're gonna change this into a grid, but before we do that, we can also add the title of the month. So with me here, you can see I have August. So I had already created this, so it's just a stack with the text inside. So I'm gonna hold Ctrl C, and I'm gonna paste it inside my stack. And notice it comes next to this white one because we need to change direction from top to bottom like that. And then I just need to click this and drag it on top. And then I'm gonna make sure that the width is set to fill. And then also I'm gonna make sure that the dates here is set to fill, and I'm also gonna make sure that the height is set to fill like that. So, and then I'm gonna come here to my stack, which is my calendar, and I call this calendar. I'm gonna add a padding all around so that we can have a space between the content and the margin. So I'm gonna use a padding of like 32, or I think 32 is okay. And then or I can minimize it a bit like 24. 24 is good. And as you can see, now our calendar is coming up well. So we come to this white area here. I'm gonna get rid of the color, and then I'm gonna come and add a layout to it. So notice we have like a bunch of squares inside this, so we're gonna use, instead of a type stack, we're gonna use type grid. So I'm just gonna come here to type and I'm gonna click grid. Okay, and then I'm gonna just going to draw a frame inside here, and this frame I want it to have a fixed width and a fixed height. I want it to have a fixed width of 32 and a fixed height of 32, like that. This frame, and I'm gonna hold Control Alt Enter. I want to create a stack on top of this frame. So this frame is going to be the color. This is going to be the background of this, this stack. And now this stack is like the day. Let's call this the day, okay? Because this is like a calendar, so this day 1, day 2. And then this day, of course, I don't want it to have a color, and I want the color to be determined by the background. So since we have the background set to 32 pixels, and we can put it to lock the aspect ratio, we can come to the day and make sure the width and the height is set to fit the contents. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to my dates, which is my grid. And what I want to do now is work on the properties of the grid, so that when I duplicate this day, we have a good structure to it. So I'm gonna go to my grid and I'm gonna click here advanced. So I'm gonna click these 3 dots and I'm gonna come here and say I want the width to be around 32. So this is like the width of these child elements. So I want it to be 32, and I want it to be columns to be automatic. I don't want it to be fixed, and I want the height to fill the container. Okay, so now I can go back to my day and I can hold Control D and I can duplicate a bunch. Okay, but before we do that, you can also see we have a large gap in here. So I can come to my grid again and I can just get rid of the gap, or perhaps just put a slight gap. Okay, so now as you can see, we have something coming up really well. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I can do that, I can do that, although what we want is we want to have, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we want to have like 7. Okay, so let's just Control Z, let's go back again, and perhaps we might want to minimize the width of this calendar. So I'm just gonna minimize the width like this to like 320 or 340 is okay. Let me use 340. And so as you can see now, I'm also gonna increase the gap to 10, and I'm just gonna duplicate again. I'm gonna go to my days and I'm gonna duplicate. Now as you can see, we have 7, which is good. So if you see, when I duplicate these a bunch of times, like till there, you can see we have a nice calendar to it. Okay, but we have to get rid of this. So this, I'm just showing you what we have. We don't want to duplicate these stacks because it's kind of a lot of work. What we want is we want to create a component and then duplicate the component. So I'm just gonna get rid of these stacks and just show you what I mean. So I'm gonna click here day and I'm gonna Control Alt K to create a component, and I'm gonna call it create. So now this is my component, and the background, I want it to have like a dark gray color. And then so this is going to be we're gonna call this my colored state. So remember we had different colors like here, so we're going to have this as our colored state. And then now this is where we want to tweak some things here. So remember we have this background. So what we did, we want to redo, we want to change the positioning type to be absolute, so that we have this background pinned to the center of the board. So it's pinned to this colored stack. So now I'm gonna add that nice, that text button that comes up when we hover. So I'm just gonna come here and click here, Control C, and this is the one that I had. I'm gonna go back to my component, and inside this component I want to hold Control V and paste it inside here. And as you can see, we have a problem here because remember we had set this to fit the content, so it's become big. So what we want this dark to have absolutely positioned, and just remove it from the from the initial, and then we can just increase the size like this to somewhere there. So we don't want it to affect this this main frame. So I'm just gonna drag it out down, and I'm gonna like shove it somewhere there, and I can give it a z index so you can see what I'm doing here. So give it a z index, and I'm also gonna make sure we have overflow here set to visible. So now this is the button that should be behind this. So actually this we need to put it as the index of 0 so that it's behind this section. So now I want to add a hover effect. So I'm gonna click here and add hover. So when we hover, we want to we want to increase the background just slightly a bit. As you can see, it's 32. We can put to 38. And we also want to make sure that it's positioned to the center. So I can come here and align it to the center. And then I want this stack to, which is going to be like our button. I want it to be pinned to the bottom. And I'm going to now increase its distance like that. So like that. So I want it to come on top like that. Okay. And now I want to go back to my primary, and I'm going to set this opacity to 0 so we don't see it. And then we're going to go back to the hover section and come here to the stack, and now change this opacity to 1. So notice when we change this opacity, it also affects this one. So that's why we need to go back and change it. So now, as you can see, I can click this, and when I hover inside, we have this nice transition, which is pretty good. So this is the first step. So the second thing is we want to do, there's a reason why we call this colored. So we want to create another variant here. I'm gonna click this button, and I'm gonna call this the dead date. Just call it dead. Okay. So this dead one means that nothing will happen. Okay. So it has all the properties, but I just want it to remain gray like this. So then we come here to the colored one, and we can add like a nice color, like red is okay. And then of course this dead one, we want it to have like a dead color, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna come here to the background, and I'm gonna change the color to dark gray. Okay. So this is the one that is going to light up when we have content inside. This is the one that will not have any content. So now I'm gonna also put in some variants or variables so that it could be easy for us to change it on our homepage. So I'm gonna come here to fill. I'm gonna create a variable, and I'm gonna call it color. Gonna be our background. That's okay. So I also wanna add a variant for the text. So I'm gonna come here to text. I'm gonna click here content, and I'm create a variable for text. And we're gonna call it title. So if you're not really sure about these variables and they somehow seem confusing, is just that these are just variables where you can change. So instead of changing everywhere, notice when we go back to home, we have now the title here and the background, the one that we just added. So we can easily change them here and put anything we want, and it's going to reflect on the main page. Okay. So but now let's call this like work. Okay. So that's pretty much it. So now we have our calendar here, and we have one day. So now we just duplicate it like a couple of times. We just duplicate it like this. I'm just holding Control D on my keyboard and duplicating till like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. And remember, we also have to change so the good thing about components is that if I want to change something like this box, I'm just going to change it once, and it's going to replicate on the others. So if I just click this component and I come to the background and I change the radius to like 8, as you can see, when we go back, then every single one of them changes. Nice. And then now I just want to make sure that I have only one colored date. So I'm gonna click these top ones, and I'm gonna just click them like that, and I'm going to go here to my variant component, I'm gonna put them dead, like nice. So I'm gonna do the same for the other ones. Yeah, so now that looks pretty good. So I only have one live one, and this is what we want. So I'm gonna click Control C on my keyboard, and I'm just gonna drag this calendar and post it directly to our scroll section. Make sure you post it on the scroll section and hold Control V like that. So now we have it there. So we have it inside, we have this calendar which we have just created inside the scroll section. And so you can see it's at the center of our page. So let's go to the scroll section. Make sure that we are distributing from top to bottom and distribute from start like that, which is good. And then now we wanna put in a padding on top of it so that it can come down. So I'm just gonna come here to padding, and I'm gonna give it like a padding of a top padding of like 180. Nice. So now as you can see, we have a nice component inside our page. Looks good, right? So yeah. So then the next thing we want to do now is turn this calendar into a component. And once we turn it into a component, we can now have the effects that we want. Okay. So I'm going to click here calendar, and I'm going to hold Control Alt K like that. I'm going to hit enter and create a component. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create different calendars in different states. So to do that, I'm gonna come here to create another variant. Okay, and then now inside this variant, this is where we wanna have, when we click this red date, we switch it to this. So it's simply what we want to see when we click this red date is what we want to see in this variant. Of course, we don't want to see these dates again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the grid, and I'm going to click hide it. I'm just going to hide it. And I'm going to click this month, and I'm going to hide it. Now we have a free Canva. Okay. So I'm going to hold F on my keyboard, and I'm going to create something here. So this is what we want to see when we click this red icon. So we're just gonna put this to set to fill, and then we are just gonna play with any height here, and then I'm gonna go back to the, and then when I duplicate this, you can see we need to have this variant, which is the parent, have a direction, distribute this child elements from the start like that, so that they can increase from the start. So now as you can see, we can see our elements, but it's kind of this, it's been cut down here. This is because this parent has overflow set to hidden. So the overflow, which is this white area, is hidden. When we put visible, we can see them. And so we can just come and adjust the, the sizing of what we want. So perhaps this one we want it to have again a radius of 24. And then this one we also want it to have a radius of 24. So as you can see, like that. And also remember, I have created the buttons here. So I'm just gonna drag Control C, and I'm just gonna copy it inside. Yeah, so this looks pretty good. So this is going to be my image, where I'm gonna just put any random image inside here. And then yeah, and then now this is where we want to go back to the parent variant 2, and because we don't want to see this overflowing content, we want to see it when we scroll, we need to go to the overflow here, and we need to set it to overflow scroll like that. And as you can see, we have this a scroll bar. So to also remove that, we come to the style, and we click this plus icon, and we look for scroll bars, which is this, and then we put them to hide. As you can see, we can change there. So I think that's pretty good. And then I'm just gonna change the background to red, so that we can have something similar to what we have. And I just think this image of ours, just a bit of design, I think we need to have a red image inside it. We need to look for a nice red resembling image that perhaps, you know, I can just look for something like a red image so that it can come out really well. So perhaps I can take this photo of this nice car, which I think it looks good. I'm just gonna add it there. Now as you can see, we have this nice feel to it. So what I want is I want to now link this card to this card. So I'm gonna click this specific button, and then as you can see, I'm gonna hold L on my keyboard. Okay, just hold L on your keyboard while you've clicked it, and then you need to snap it to variant 2 and set it in direction to click, like that. Okay, and then remember we also need to have a back button here so we can go back to the original state. So I'm gonna come here to this back button, and I'm gonna hold Ctrl C, and I'm gonna paste it inside here. It's gonna paste it inside here. So you cannot see it because it's this one at the bottom, so I'm just gonna put it up like that, and I'm going to make sure the position is set to absolute, and then I need to put it like somewhere like there. And the problem here is that this back has a certain style, so I'm just gonna come here to blending mode, and I'm gonna just put it to normal blending mode. Perhaps I can put a shadow so we can see the button well enough. I can just put a shadow like that, and like some blur and some spread. Okay, so I think that is good. So now we have something nice there. So now I also want to, when I click this button, I go back to, you know, the original state. So yeah, I think this is pretty easy, and this is very interesting, and that's why, you know, I recommend Framer for quick prototyping and, you know, just designing websites. So now we can test what we have. So if I click view, and then now as you can see, when I hover, we have a problem here. This is because, as you can see, we have a problem here is when we hover, our thing goes behind it. So but as you can see, when I click it, we transition into our card and we can scroll down. Yeah, so we just need to go back and fix this issue. So I'm gonna go to this component itself, and I'm gonna click this, double click this. I'm gonna make sure the overflow is set to visible, and then I'm gonna make sure this stack has a z index of like 1 or 2 so that it comes above it. And then I'm gonna also go to this hovered state, and I'm gonna make sure overflow is set to visible. That's okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think now even we view here, we can see we have this nice transition. Okay, so if I come to my home page and I hold Control P and view my website, okay, still we have a problem. This is because we need to set the grid, which as you can see, it's been cut on the left side. So we need to set the grid to, you know, overflow visible. So come here to the grid and set overflow this one to visible. Now this should work well. Nice. So as you can see, we have this nice button and it kind of becomes big, and so I can click it and I can go to this amazing card. Yeah, and so yeah, so perhaps I can change something small here. I would like this to have a smaller padding, like 14. I have 14 padding, sorry, 14 padding. I think it looks much better like that, and the gap to be 14. Yeah, pretty much. So I'm gonna do the same and create these for another color so you guys can see, but it's pretty much the same. Okay, yeah, so now as you can see, I've just created another one here. So for us to create this, as you can see, it's been very easy, just because since I have my, I have my variables. I can just change it to anything. So let me show you now. If I want to create another calendar, I just click here, and once I click this one, I come to new variant, and just for just for a clean arrangement, I'm just gonna drag this down here, and then this one I'm gonna drag it down here, and then this is my other calendar. So the good thing about creating these variables is I can just come here and pick any date that I want, and I can change it to colored, and I can put any color like pink, and I can also return this red to to dead, so that it doesn't have anything. And I can do the same for this one to dead, and I can just play along with any. Again, I can do this. I can give it a colored variant, and I can add a purple color, and I can do another one like yeah, pretty much that's it. So this is now, I can also use this and change the month to, let me put May, so I can have a May one here. So now what I just need to do is add the other variants like this one. So I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna add a variant. I'm gonna drag it just below it, and I'm gonna add another variant here. So we're gonna create 3 states for when we click these two. We have something similar. So we have this nice effect. So of course my interactions are set well enough. So now even if I click this one, as you can see, we can change to a different section, and as this one has the same effect. So that's pretty much it. So when we go now to our homepage, what I just need to do, I just need to come to this calendar and duplicate it, and I'm just gonna make sure that I change the variant to, I think it was our variant 4. Yeah, so variant 4 is our calendar, and then I also need to put in some spacing like that. Yeah, I think, and then what I just need to do is create more calendars, like I can duplicate like that, but I'll leave you guys to continue. But of course, as you can see, also we need to make sure that our scroll section is set to fit the content like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So what you guys can do is create other variants and just play alongside with it. And yeah, so pretty much. So if I now view my website, and I can come here to this, I can see cars, I can see sports. So you wanna click sports, it gives me a nice card, which is pretty nice. And then I can go back, I can look at cars and scroll, and I can do the same with this other section. Maybe this is my Me project that I did, and I can go back, and I can also click here and see my work project. So this is very good for if you want to create like your own blog, or you want to create your nice interactive website about your projects, perhaps a project that you did in August and May, and display them well. I think this is a pretty good template. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna have this remix file in the description. You can check it out and you can play with it however you want. It's free, and all the best. So thank you for watching this video. This is Dive, and see you in the next video.